Today we are going to have so much fun. It's really gonna be a fun day. I promise. Really, it is. It's gonna be so much fun. Hello, my darling friends. Welcome back. I am so excited that y'all are here today. If you are visiting for the first time or coming over from Tracy's channel, welcome. It's nice to have you here. I'm so glad you stopped by. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's good to see you all again. I'm excited about today. I know I said that. We're gonna have fun, and I know I covered that too, but I just can't seem to contain my excitement. It's gonna be a fun day. I have so many fun projects to share with y'all. I have 3 of my own designs to share with y'all, and then Tracy has some fun designs. So yes, I've teamed up with my sweet friend Tracy from Country Charm by Tracy, and I will share a little bit more about her in just a bit. For now though, I'm excited to just jump right into our project. So y'all, let's get started with project number 1. We cannot have an Americana themed crafty day without, of course, making an American flag. So y'all, I have a fun twist to share with y'all on this flag. It's going to be so cool. We're going to be making it out of wood. So we're going to head right out into the studio and get started on this flag. I think y'all are really going to enjoy this one. It is so cool. It's such a fun design. I cannot wait to share it with y'all. We are going to kick off this project with some scrap wood pieces that Michael and I dug out of our scrap wood bin in the shop. So we are going to be making a flag with all these really cool wood pieces. And the measurements of our flag will be listed for y'all in the description box, as well as the complete and total pattern for this. I always have all of our supplies listed for y'all in the description box, as well as a free pattern bundle. So y'all be sure and check out the description box for the links to the free pattern and our supply list. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to go ahead and stain all of the stripe pieces on our flag first. I want everything to be stained, and I'm using some Waverly antiquing wax to do this. I did want everything to be stained because I want to have that darkness underneath our colors once we go to apply the colors, and you'll kind of see what I mean in just a bit. So I'm just finishing up here, getting all of our stripes stained, and then I will move on to staining the piece for our stars. Now we can go ahead and start adding some color to our pieces. And I am using some Tuscan red here that I mixed with a little tiny bit of burnt umber, or no, raw umber, sorry. And so I went ahead and did that red over, every other stripe on our flag. And then for the white stripes, I wanted to keep these with that natural wood color, but I wanted to have just a little bit of splash of white, so I did come in and dry brush a little white onto those. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint the star banner, the star part of our flag, and I am using, this is called English Navy, and I also mixed this with a tiny bit of burnt umber as well, just to deepen it up and give it a little bit of extra antique flair, to kind of give it that rustic flair. So once I get this piece painted, we are going to come back over this with a little tiny bit of that antiquing wax. I'm just using a very dry brush to do this, so I dip my brush in the wax, dab some off on my paper, and then come back in with a real dry brush just to kind of deepen this color and give it a little bit of that extra aged look. So here is how things are looking so far. I'm really loving how this is turning out. Now we need to add our stars, and to do this we are going to head out into the wood shop and use our M1. It's an X-Tool M1 laser cutter, and I'm going to use that to engrave the stars onto our flag. So I just brought all of my stars into X-Tool's design space, created all these in an array, And then you will see how I stretch it all out to fit on our wood. So once I've got that part, I can come back in. The X tool's got this cool camera in it. So it takes a picture of my wood so I know exactly where to place all of our stars. So now I'm going to go ahead and let the X tool M1 laser cutting machine do its magic and engrave all the stars onto this flag for us. Now it's time to start prepping our pieces for assembly, and Michael was so sweet. He came out to the shop to help me do this part because I was struggling a little bit with the engineering. I have a very creative mind, but I don't have an engineering mind where Michael does. Michael is an engineer or has an engineer background, and so he's really good at doing this part for me. So I just utilized his knowledge, and he was so willing to lend me a helping hand. So we marked all of the pieces with our guidelines so that we know where to drill the holes. And the reason we're drilling holes in all these pieces of wood is because we are going to attach this entire flag together with dowels. So Michael just came in with his handy dandy little jig here and started drilling all the holes on our guide marks that we had placed. Once we had those done, Michael has these cool little gadgets. I'm not sure what they are called, but I will have them linked in the description box for y'all. And he uses these to butt up against the next board in succession here, and it will mark exactly where the next holes need to go so that our dowel holes are perfectly lined up with one another. All right, so now most of our holes have been drilled. The last step here is to mark the placement for our star part as to where it's going to connect to the stripes. So Michael is coming in and just repeating those same exact steps, marking everything out so that we know exactly where to drill the holes. And then once those have been done, we can start assembling. And this is my favorite part. I love to see these pieces and parts come together to create one cohesive project. So the first thing that we have to do is start gluing everything up. And we are using some Tite Bond wood glue to do this. So Michael just came in and put all the dowels in, made sure that there was lots of glue in there to give the dowels extra strength and extra hold, as well as putting some glue across each of the edges that are going to connect together. I hope that made sense. So once that part is done, we can go ahead and start actually connecting them together. So we actually do one stripe at a time, put all the glue in, add the next stripe, and so forth and so forth. We now have all of our stripes connected together, so it's time to connect the star part of our flag to the stripes. So to do this, we're first going to connect our stars to the short stripes, and then we will come in and put glue across the whole length of this entire piece so that we can connect it to the longer stripes. This part was a little bit fiddly, just getting everything to pull together, but we finally got it. Michael's a genius. He just used his brute strength to pull it together. And once we got the pieces to snap in place, we clamped up the whole thing, let those clamps set overnight, and then the next day we got to come out and do the unveiling, which is another one of my favorite parts. So we took all the clamps off, and voila, just like that, y'all, we have this gorgeous flag. I love it. I could not be any more pleased with how well this turned out. introduce you all to my very sweet friend Tracy from Country Charm by Tracy. Y'all, she is an absolute darling. If you have never visited Tracy over on her channel, y'all, I highly encourage you to stop by, pay her a visit, tell her I sent you, tell her hi for me while you're over there. And if you're not a subscriber of her channel, I recommend subscribing too, because y'all, Tracy makes some of the most amazing projects. She is brilliantly crafty and her ideas are usually so unique and so fun. And I love how she blends country charm with tradition. She's whimsical. Y'all, I love her projects. So head on over to Tracy's channel, pay her a visit. I think you will be so glad that you did. And thank you so much, Tracy, for hanging out with me today and collabing on this episode. I remember as a kid, I had this amazing set of dolls, Raggedy Ann and Andy. Do any of you remember the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls? Oh my gosh. I loved those dolls so much. So I thought it would be fun to try to recreate my own version of an Americana Raggedy Ann doll. So that's what we're gonna get into next. This is a fun project. This one is a little bit more time consuming, but I still think you guys are gonna love it. So let's go do some sewing. For this project, we are going to need a plethora of supplies. And the most important of these supplies is our patterns, of course. And again, I'm going to have this entire pattern bundle available to y'all. It'll be in the description box under our supply list. We're also going to need a variety of fabrics because I am going to cut out all the different doll pieces from different fabrics. So the body of the doll, I use some muslin to do this, and then her clothes are different, and her feet and her legs. You'll kind of see as we work on this, as we go along and work on this. So when I am cutting out my patterns, I do like to just trace the pattern onto my fabric, and I'm using a friction pin to do this, which disappears over time. And with ironing and washing and all of that, the ink kind of disappears. You don't really even see it at the end anyway after we get our seams in. So that I'm going to go ahead, trace all of my patterns and get every single pattern piece cut out. So you can see here that I've got them all cut out now. And the next thing I like to do is press everything so that all of the wrinkles are completely gone and everything is pressed nice and smooth before we move on to assembly. Now I have all of my pieces ironed nice and flat, so now we can move on to the assembly, which is the most exciting part, watching this whole thing come together. The first thing I'm going to do is start by embroidering the face onto my doll. Okay, y'all, so I'm just going to be completely transparent and honest here. I'm not a good embroiderer. I've maybe embroidered 3 times in my whole entire life, this being number 3. So I'm just kind of winging it here. I did use an embroidery hoop, trying to make myself feel like I knew what I was doing. And then I just came in with some embroidery thread and started just filling these in by using some straight stitches, just going back and forth until everything was filled in. I basically just traced my outline with the embroidery thread. And at the end, honestly, it came out okay. It's the best I could do for being a non-embroidery person. It's cute though. It's still, the face has character. And so we're just gonna go with this. So now that I have the face on, I did come in and press this really well. Now it's time to start assembling our legs and the arms and hands. So the first thing I'm going to do here is assemble the legs, and I'm going to start by taking the shoe part and attach it to the leg part. And you do want to make sure that you have right sides together, and we're just simply going to sew this straight across the top part of the shoe to the bottom part of the leg. And for the arms, we're just going to take the 2 pieces together and sew all the way around the circumference of this. However, you do want to make sure that you leave the top part of this open so that we have room to stuff these later. Okay, so now our arms are completely sewn together. That part is done. But now it's time to assemble the legs. So we've gone ahead and sewn the shoes to the sock part, but now we need to actually create the leg. So we're going to take the 4 pieces that we have here. We're going to do one at a time, obviously. Place right sides together, and then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew all around the outer edges. However, you do need to remember to leave that top part open so that we can stuff this later. And I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance on all of these pieces. Now we can start turning these right side out. And y'all, I'm not going to lie, this part was very, very, very fiddly, but I just took my time, tried to be patient through this process and flipping everything right side out. It was a little bit difficult, but I did find that using a knitting needle here, I have one of these really cool old-fashioned wooden knitting needles, and it has a round head on the end. It actually worked really well for helping me to just push everything through and get this flipped right sides out. So I'm going to repeat that whole process for both legs and arms. Now we have them flipped right side out. We can go ahead and start stuffing these. And I do like to stuff these really tight. I feel a lot of filling in these. And again, I'm going to use that really cool knitting needle to kind of help me push the stuffing down inside of these. I do like to fill them really full so that they're nice and full. So I start by just putting a little bit in and then use that knitting needle to push it all the way through, and I continue this process until all 4 of our pieces are stuffed, the 2 legs and the 2 arms. At this point, I've got my first leg stuffed. So I'm going to go ahead and continue stuffing the rest of these, but I did want to point out that you do need to leave about 1/4 inch unstuffed at the very top of this, because this is going to give us that seam allowance for connecting it to our doll. Now that I have all of our arms and legs stuffed, we can go ahead and start attaching them to the doll body. The first thing we're going to do is start with the arms. This part can be a little bit intimidating, but don't let it stop you from trying this, because it's really not quite as hard as it seems. So we're going to go ahead and attach the arms to the shoulder part of our doll body here. And you want to do this so that the arms are to the inside part. And you also want to make sure that your thumbs are pointing downward. I found that crisscrossing the arms was the easiest way for me to do this. It kind of works smoothly. And then I'm just going to go ahead and clip these into place. The reason we want these to be on the inside is because when we sew right sides together, when we go to flip it, you'll kind of see what I mean here in just a few minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and place the top part of our doll body onto this. Make sure that you have right sides together. And then I'm just going to clip the whole thing all the way around, take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew this all the way around the edges from one corner, like from the very bottom, all the way up here around the head and down the other side. Make sure you leave that bottom part opened so that we can flip this right sides out and stuff our doll later. One thing I have found before flipping this right side out is I like to come in with some pinking shears and trim off all of that excess fabric. The most important thing to remember here is to be very careful, because you don't want to accidentally cut into any of your stitching or you'll end up with an unraveled doll. None of us want an unraveled doll. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this right sides out. And you can see here how by placing the arms the way we did, once we get her flipped right sides out, which again, this part is always a little bit fiddly. It just takes some patience, and you just kind of have to keep working with it until all of the pieces come together. They do flip eventually. It just takes some time, and it does take a little bit more patience than I have sometimes, but we got it done. And so you can see that by putting the arms to the inside, we have this nice clean seam, and it makes the arms look very connected to the body. So now I'm going to go ahead and stuff our doll. And again, I'm using a lot of filling here because I want to stuff this pretty full. Now we can go ahead and attach the legs to the bottom part of our doll body. So what I've gone ahead and done here is turn the raw fabric to the inside so that we have a nice clean edge on the bottom of our doll. And I'm going to go ahead and tuck the legs in, and then I pinned this together. A little tip and trick here is a little bit of hot glue helps this process as well, because it keeps everything really well held into place as we take it to the sewing machine. Then I did take this to the sewing machine and sew the whole bottom edge of our doll. Now it's time to make her a cute dress. So I have this pattern. I cut out all the pieces, and I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and we're using, so you'll notice that the top part of our dress has 4 pieces. We're going to sew 2 pieces together and then 2 more pieces together. And the reason we do this is to give us nice clean edges, because I don't want raw edges on this. So you can see here, I've sewn it together and I have nice clean edges. Now we're going to go ahead and sew these 2 pieces together. One thing to keep in mind when you are sewing them together is don't forget that you have to have arm holes for this. So we're going to sew across the 2 shoulder straps. Then we're going to come down to like the armpit area. And so from the arm straps to the armpit area, that's going to be left open. And then from the armpits to the bottom edges of our skirt top or our dress top here, we will sew those closed. It's really important to remember to leave those armholes open. I made this mistake once, and it's so not fun to have to tear all of these out. So I took this to the sewing machine and I have sewn this together, and now I'm going to go ahead and flip right sides out, and this is what we have. Now, here's where I had a little bit of a problem, y'all. So I drew these patterns myself. I didn't do a lot of measuring when I drew them, and our first pattern did not fit the doll. It was way too big. So I had to alter this pattern, and I will have the alteration available for y'all in the pattern bundle. So I altered this a little bit, but I sewed the whole thing together exactly the same way as I did the first piece. Now we can go ahead and sew her the skirting part of, this is the skirting part that will connect to the bottom of the top part. We're creating a dress here. And I hope this is making sense. I hope y'all are following me and staying with me here. So the first thing I need to do is fold the seams in so that I have a nice clean seam on the bottom part of our skirt. And we have 2 pieces here. So we're going to create a seam on the bottom of each one of our seams, take that to the sewing machine and sew it. Once you have that done, we're going to sew the 2 edges together to make kind of a big loop. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and create the pleating to go to the bottom of our skirt. And to do this, I am just doing a whip stitch across the top, the raw edge of our skirt. And I used some embroidery thread to do this because I already had it out and already had it on the needle. So we're just going to do a whip stitch, which is in and out, in and out, in and out. And then you pull it together so that it creates this gather. I'm going to measure this against the top part of my skirt to the best of my ability. Once I feel like I have that done pretty well, I'll go ahead and cut the excess string and then tie a knot so that that gather doesn't come out. Now we're ready to take this to the sewing machine, and we need to put right sides together. So make sure the top part of your skirt is upside down and the bottom, the skirt part is top side up. And then we're going to place the top over the skirt, place our seam sides together, clip everything together, and then we will take this to the sewing machine and just sew all the way around the top part of this. I really hope this is making sense for y'all and that you're still with me and you're following me here. Whew. Okay, so we did it. Now we can go ahead and flip this right sides out. And look at that, y'all. We've got the most darling little dress for our doll. I am really loving this dress. I think it is so cute. And again, I'm going to have this pattern for y'all with the directions available for you as a free download. Now let's go ahead and fit this to the doll. I did have to put this feet first. It did not go over the head. Something I might need to work on when creating patterns, but it did go on feet first just fine. And look how cute this is. So something I want to tell y'all is I did go ahead and create a cute little jacket to go with this, as well as a hat. The pattern for the jacket and the pattern for the hat will be available for you in the pattern bundle, but because I didn't want this video to be 2 hours long, I didn't put the tutorial part of the jacket or the hat included in this video. I think I am going to do another one though, where we go more in depth with all of that. So now we're just going to go ahead and put some hair on, and I am just using some yarn to do this. You could use any color yarn you want. I bundled my yarn together, kind of did that loop system where I looped it around my hand, bundled it together, and then kind of gave it a haircut. And then I did take it to my sewing machine and sew them together so that they didn't come apart. And now I'm just going to hot glue it right onto the doll. So I did this in several different sections. So I've got the first section that's going, to be the back part of her hair. And then I did some side sections, and then we're going to do some bangs as well. Now, if y'all end up having any questions about how I did this, please feel free to ask them in the comments, and I will reach out to you and answer your questions to the best of my ability. After getting all of the sections glued on, I do want to, give her a little bit of a haircut so that her hair is completely even and the same length all the way across. So I just kind of gathered it all up in my fingers and gave it a haircut. I mean, it's not a perfect haircut, but it works for this particular project. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the bangs, and I sort of do the same thing with this. I attach all of the bangs and then give it a haircut so that everything sort of matches up. After I get that part done, I'm going to glue on her hat. And again, I will have the pattern for this hat available for y'all as part of this pattern bundle. I just didn't have time to go through the whole process of how I connected this together, but I will make another video for y'all in the future on how to do the hat and the little coat jacket. So y'all, I think she's done, and I am loving her. I think she's just darling. One thing that I think would be cute is to connect her hands together and then maybe put like a firecracker or something in her hands to make her feel a little more patriotic. Our last project today is going to pay homage to one of my favorite sports, baseball. Now, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but y'all, in college, I loved baseball and went to every single one of my college team's baseball games, and it was so much fun for me. So I want to create a really fun, unique project today that kind of definitely pays homage to that, all American sport, baseball. So we're going to take some baseballs and decorate them and make them look really cool and definitely give them that Americana patriotic twist. I am really, really excited about this project, y'all. It is going to be so easy, the easiest one of the day. We can literally put this whole project together in like an hour. I think that's what it took me in real time, is like an hour to put this together. So we're going to start out with these really fun baseballs. I found these on Amazon and I will have them linked for y'all in our supply list. So be sure and check the description box for some details that we may have missed throughout this video, as well as all the links to supplies. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to dirty up our baseballs a little bit and make them look a little less stark white, a little less clean. We want we're going to pretend like these baseballs were used in a really important baseball game and our team won. So to do this, I'm going to just take some antiquing wax, some Waverly antiquing wax, and I just brush it all over the baseballs. I do it to all 5 of them, and I will tell you that it did take a couple of coats. I had to let the coats dry thoroughly before moving to this next step. Now I want to add some color to these. So I'm going to come in with a really pretty blue. I will have this color listed in the description box for y'all. I came in and only did one section of the baseball. You know how the baseball's kind of sectioned off into these weird stitchy things? I'm only going to do this color in part of that. So I just follow, kind of the stitch marks as my guide as to where to place the paint. So I did 2 with the blue and 3 with this really pretty red. And it did, again, I used about 3 coats to get this fully covered. Once I got all of the paint onto my baseballs and I was happy with that, let all the coats dry, added some more, got it to a place where I was happy with the way it was looking, we can go ahead and do some embellishments to this. So I took just some stars, just some plain old stars. I put them through my Cricut cutter and made just some vinyl stars with these. And we're just simply going to attach them to the baseballs on the colored part of our baseball. And sorry that this went off frame a little bit. I'm not sure what I was doing here, but I did get off frame a little bit. But I'm just literally sticking these to the baseball in just kind of a haphazard pattern. And then I did come back across, make sure that everything was really well adhered. And then we'll go ahead, because again, I don't want these really stark white stars. I came back in with my antiquing wax and a very dry brush and just kind of brushed it over the stars to make them look a little more vintage, to just give it that used, fun, vintage feel. I am going to just go ahead and repeat the same exact process for all 5 of my baseballs. I just go ahead and stick the star cutouts that we made on my Cricut cutter, brush them over with some antiquing wax, and y'all can kind of see the difference here, the antiquing versus the stark white, and I think I definitely love the antiqued ones the best. I love how simple this project was, but yet it's going to make such a big statement to my patriotic decor. I think this is so fun, and it's going to be a really fun conversation piece, just having, these iconic Americana baseballs in my decor. I love these. I think they turned out so fun. Oh my gosh, y'all, I had so much fun creating projects today. This little gal, my sweet little friend here, she was so much fun to make, and I think she might be my favorite, but I don't know, y'all. Honestly, of the 3 projects, it's really hard for me to choose a favorite because I love them all so much. I really love how our baseballs turned out. I really love the flag, but I really like this sweet little gal too. I asked Michael what his favorite of the 3 was, and in order he said the baseballs, the flag, and the Alecia-fied Raggedy Ann doll. Y'all will have to let me know which of the 3 of these projects today was your favorite. guys, that is it for today. I really hate for this episode to come to an end because I truly have had a blast working on all of these projects. I think creating and designing and putting together Americana patriotic themed projects are probably my, well, next to Christmas, they're probably my second favorite projects to work on. I just love them. They just speak to me. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an American. I don't know, but I really do just love working on patriotic Americana themed projects. They're just so much fun. So I hope that the projects we worked on today inspired you and gave you some fun ideas for your patriotic themed decor. Tracy, thank you again so much for being here with me today and for collabing on this video. Your projects all turned out amazing, and I'm probably going to be recreating one or two of those. Thanks, Tracy, for all your fabulous ideas, and y'all don't forget to head on over and visit Tracy and see all the great things that she made for us today as well. It's a great playlist, so go check it out. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. It just means the world to me that you all take time out of your day to come and hang with me. I just love you all to pieces. And thank you to all of you who came over from Tracy's channel and stopped by to give us a visit. I hope you enjoyed your time here. And if you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Alrighty, friends. Well, next week we've got some more fun crafty projects coming your way. I've got a lot of fun things planned for us for the coming weeks. We've got some fun summer decor, some just really fun outdoor projects, and maybe even one or two more patriotic themed projects. So y'all come back and see me again next week. Until then, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye, friends. Sometimes I just don't know what to say. Oh shoot, I think I forgot. My train of thought just gone out the window, just like that. Oh, dang it. Shoot, let's try that again. Oops, nope, didn't want to say that. That is not what I meant to say. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Psst. Hey, y'all. Don't forget to head over to Miss Tracy's channel at Country Charm by Tracy. You guys are gonna love her. I'll have her link in the description box. Don't forget to tell her I said hi.